Hello everybody and welcome to today's call. We're doing live questions and answers with Magdalena. And in case you are new to all of this, I'm doing this on every Friday at 10 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Eastern, where you can come and ask me anything you want that you think is going to help you that's related to food or hormones or food and hormones. Always these two always go together, can go together really, really well. So one of the things that I discussed last week was, oh, by the way, sorry, the format is I'm going to be taking your questions live, and so post them just as you are watching me right now, and I'm going to get to it. The only thing, the technical limitation is that the questions are flying by really, really quickly, so you have to keep them really short. And if I don't get to them in this session because I missed them, it's okay, because what I'm gonna do is then I'm gonna print them out. My team puts them together and then I get them printed out and I'll get to them the following week. So I'm gonna be doing this for 2 more Fridays, and then I'm taking December off, and then and then I'm gonna be back in January, so back to the live Q&As. So tell me where you're from, where you're listening. I'm always curious about where my audience is coming from. It's always good to know. Let me just move the camera just a tiny little bit. It's a little bit brighter, I think. Yeah, so I think, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do questions from last week. There's quite a number of them. Hi, Sarah from Massachusetts. There's quite a lot of questions that came in last week. And just a quick reminder, the last week, tingling in feet and hands from Teresa. So last week a lot of questions came in as we were talking about weight loss. Hi Teresa from Canada. So what was interesting is that, I talked about the various different 4 major category reasons why we can't lose weight. And so I'm wondering whether any one of you who listened to last week, whether you had any aha moments and you just go like, oh, I know I've been doing a lot of really great things. Hi, Sandy from Georgia. I think Sandy's a regular now. So many of you have done things on a regular basis, and you've been doing things on a, with a lot of commitment to making changes. And I'm wondering how many of you have had this kind of a wake-up moment going, hi Adele from Maine, when you had a moment you go like, oh, I haven't thought about that. That's like sleep is one thing I'm not addressing, or maybe it's my adrenals that are inhibiting my weight loss. Hi Susan from Knoxville, Tennessee. So, I talked about gut issues, infections. We talked about different hormonal reasons why we're not losing weight. So if you were not on last week's call and weight loss is your big issue, in spite of eating really well, hi Tracy from Oregon, then what I would suggest to do is look at last week's call, and we will get those calls consolidated on a website, so you don't have to be scrolling through the pages or the posts and tons of posts on my Facebook page to get to last week's post. You can just go to the website page, and we're going to have the calls pulled out there with the themes and the links and stuff like that. So anyway, so that was the topic last week. If you have anything that you want to share, Rosie is asking about IUD, regulate my hormones and make it worse. Could IUD, Medina, make it worse? So yes, it is absolutely possible. And I'm personally not a fan of IUDs. Depending on, you're taking Mirena, right? So that's the one I'm assuming that is releasing hormones. You're still taking synthetic hormones, and even though might not be done topically, as in through the skin, or transdermally through the skin, you might be taking them in any form of pills, but you still are putting hormones in your body. And for a lot of women, it can be a big issue. So I'm a big proponent of natural fertility, or a natural way of make me nuts within our nightmare. Sarah says, yeah, I mean, that's absolutely completely possible. And that happens to women on any birth control pills for that matter, not just Mirena, which is kind of ironic because it's supposed to, like for example, a lot of women put on weight and completely lose their sex drive, and, and it's kind of ironic, right? Deborah is asking what foods to eat for hot flashes. So hey Deborah, I talked about low estrogen, which is the leading cause of hot flashes. I actually did a whole segment on hot flashes, including a cooking demo, and how to eat breakfast, what kind of coffee substitutes to look at. And we did that a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to post the link on this video here to a page where you can find all those videos, because I realized to search through Facebook, it's not the easiest thing. So yeah, so hot flash is a really good question. It's a real common problem, but guess what? It is completely manageable, and looking beyond just taking herbs. So let me just go back to the questions from last week and cover some of them. So Brenda Meadows Anguano is asking, how do you test for low stomach acid? That's a good question. Stomach acid, I can't tell you how important it is to our overall well-being. For a variety of reasons. Sufficient stomach acid gives you, makes you alkalized. Your blood becomes alkalized when your stomach is acidic. It helps to break down the food, to extract a lot of all the nutrients that you're putting in your body. If you have slow stomach acid, nutrients are not gonna get extracted. It also stimulates the pancreas to produce different enzymes to break the food down. It is your first line of barrier for parasites. So super important to have sufficient stomach acid. Most of us, including those of you who have acid reflux, have it because of low stomach acid. And I talked about it a few weeks ago, so I'm not going to repeat that. But how do you test for low stomach acid? You test through a couple of ways. One you can do is you take half a teaspoon of baking soda in a glass of water, right? So just like a cup of water. And you time it. You drink it on an empty stomach, and you time it. You take a watch, right, or a stopwatch, and then give yourself 3 minutes. You drink it up, and you start timing. And within 3 minutes, if you don't start burping, right, then you know that you have low stomach acid. See, what happens is, so think of it this way: if you put baking soda. And by the way, did I say baking soda, baking powder? I meant baking soda. I hope I said baking soda. If you take baking soda in a glass of water, right, and you add lemon to it, lemon juice, you're going to have these explosions going on. That's carbon dioxide being produced. So that's what should be coming out of your, up here through your esophagus, going up, and you burping when you have sufficient stomach acid. Now, when you don't burp, that means there wasn't much in there for the reaction to happen. I hope that makes sense. So that's one great way of testing for things. Cynthia is asking, I suffer from thyroid. Without thyroid is even worse. I'm synthroid, 175 mgs, which is a lot. Weight gain, severe hair loss, putting short all systems that goes with thyroid issues. Doctors don't listen, can't sleep, heart palpitations. I'm just barely existing. Cynthia, so really sorry to hear this. I mean, this is pretty awful, and especially when you have doctors who are not empathetic and will tell you everything is in your head, and because they really don't have a lot of answers. The only thing they've been trained on is to give you Synthroid or whatever other levothyroxine medication, and you're already on a high dose, you're still gaining weight, you're having all these different issues. There is nothing else that doctors have been trained in. So you have to understand that they are just frustrated because they just don't know how to help. The good news is that functional medicine, functional practitioners are trained to help with situations like that. So one thing you can do is go to my website and look for doctors. Just look for supportive doctors. I think it's on the right side of so my website is hormonesbalance.com, right? Hormones with an S, hormonesbalance.com. On the right side, there's a search button. Look for supportive doctors. I have a whole bunch of directories and listings where you can look for a doctor with different organizations, functional medicine, paleo doctors, there's different directories. Enter your zip code and you should be able to see doctors who are working in a functional medicine paradigm. The first thing comes out for me when I hear stories like Cynthia's is that even though she's taking so much Synthroid, 175 milligrams is a lot. Is that the medication is not utilized fully. It is not converting. Synthroid is a T4 hormone. You need to still convert it to T3 in order to feel good. The question is, why are you not converting, Cynthia? And that could be a variety of reasons. Digestive issues and poor health of the liver are the two major issues. I can talk about thyroid forever. It's obviously a complex issue. One thing you can really get started off, which is a really good starting point, is with going to thyroiddietcoach.com, thyroiddietcoach.com, get the starter kit, and I explain there how do you get started with your thyroid health, and starting off with the liver and the health of your gut. And I have to tell you, even for people, women who lost their thyroid and who will be on thyroid medication for the rest of their lives, by changing your diet, by detoxing your body, you know, amazing things start happening. And because the way the medication is utilized, broken down, and metabolized by the body is completely different when your body is really nice and clean. So check that out. And also, it just reminds me, I have a great program called Thyroid Detox. And this is really when, if you feel like you really need press that reset button for yourself, then Thyroid Detox is a really great place to get started, to reset your body. And you will see how you probably would need less medication and feel better, because that's the most important thing, is to start feeling good. So Stacy's asking, my main problem is severe constipation. So actually, you know, I'm going to talk about constipation next week. I'm going to just put a next note to myself that we're going to talk about constipation next week. By the way, you guys, if you feel like, you know, hormones and food is something that's really interesting, and there's other women who you think will benefit from a podcast like that who might have questions, then just tag them in the video down below, and so they'll know about it, and they can tune in next week and post their question. And you know, if you know somebody who's got a lot of problems with constipation, then tag them in this post, because we're going to be talking about constipation next week in much more detail. I'm going to do one more questions before I want to talk about the theme of the week, which is going to be how to get calmed down, manage your anxiety, and just feeling a little bit more uplifted. So let's do maybe one or two more questions. Deborah is asking, can I take too many probiotics or prebiotics? That's a good question. I'll start off with prebiotics first. So prebiotic means whereonhormonesbalance.com is the place to find great doctors. Sarah is asking, go to the search button on the top right side, enter supportive doctors. There's an article that's going to come out that's called How to Find a Supportive Doctor. Yeah, so, you know, so prebiotics are oftentimes can be in the form of food. So a lot of these foods are things like onions, garlic, artichokes. Jerusalem artichoke is also really high in prebiotics. The problem with these foods are that they are also high on FODMAPs. So for some people who have a lot of digestive issues, you might notice that every time you eat onions or garlic, it makes you feel really bloated rather than be feeling good. And we shouldn't be feeling this way. So you might be thinking then, so that could be one reason why, you know, can you take too many of them? If you're sensitive to prebiotic foods, then yes, there's a possibility there. The good news is there are foods that can be prebiotics, and they can be in a different form than low FODMAP. So things like, for example, cold rice, or green banana flour, potato starch, so cold potatoes, so like cold potato salad, for example, which there's also a recipe on my website. If you just look for potato salad, there's a wonderful a salad recipe with probiotics and prebiotics, because the potato and then the sauerkraut in it. So it's just a great recipe. It's publicly available on my site. So those foods can be prebiotics as well. I do see some people who have severe digestive problems reacting to them. Can you take too many probiotics? For a healthy person, I will say no, because your body would know how to get rid of it. For a person who is having a lot of digestive issues, yes, it's completely possible. And you start having digestive issues. So taking probiotics sometimes is the dosing that really matter. And it's just a matter of going really, really slow. We're starting off with like literally just a pinch on the, you know, just on the tip of your knife, so to speak, that you're gonna start taking, and then only building it up from there. So I've seen that many times before, people having very negative reactions. So I want to just address something that it's been on my mind a lot. I think many of us have gone through quite a lot of stress for the past few days, whichever side you are on. You know, it doesn't really matter. Maybe you're completely apolitical, and that's okay too. I think, you know, even if you are not on any one camp, it's just, it really then becomes a question of you see that happening all around you, right? So it's kind of hard to stay calm. I know for some of my friends, this has been a very traumatizing period. If you know symptoms of trauma, then a lot of people have been experiencing that. So one thing I want to offer today is to talk about how do you ground yourself, how do you calm yourself down, what are some of the things you can use in terms of essential oils, breathing, tapping, drinking a tea. So I want to discuss a couple of options. And if you feel like there's somebody who's going to benefit from this because there's been going through a turmoil related to the past 2-3 days of events, then you might want to tag them. Deborah saying meditation, definitely that would be super helpful. I have to say, and just also post, what is your favorite way of getting grounded and just calming down? You know, I personally find that meditation is a learned skill. It's a skill that takes the same amount of time and patience to learn how to play an instrument like a piano or violin. It's not an easy task, and I notice not everybody is committed to doing meditation. For women who are super busy, who've got kids, who are gonna run off to work, who come back tired, to be sitting for 10-15 minutes, you know, even that can be a stretch. And so I want to offer you a couple of things that can really make a huge difference in how we feel. And so the first thing I want to just talk to you about is a deep breathing, a deep abdominal breathing. So we're going to do this together so you can experience it firsthand, but I want to just share with you that when you breathe, most of us breathe through our lungs, right? Because that's what we are conditioned to do. I want to show you how we're going to breathe into our abdomen. And one of the fascinating things about this form of breathing is that when you're pulling your tummy away from your back, there is a stimulation that happens of something called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S. And the vagus nerve is a very stimulating nerve for the parasympathetic nervous system. We have two parts of the nervous system, sympathetic and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is what makes you run away, makes you stress, makes you sweat, makes your heartbeat go up faster. It makes you not want to eat, right? It's your fight or flight part of the immune system, of the nervous system. And then there is the other side there's there to calm you down, right? And that's what helps you fall asleep, makes you calm down, makes you love, makes you be kind, brings down your blood pressure, right? Helps you meditate, you know. So it's kind of fascinating just by doing simple breathing, even in times of horrendous stress, when you're finding like your heart is palpitating, you find yourself sweating because something has angered you so much and you're looking at things in disbelief. Find a quiet place, like even a bathroom, and go there and start doing the deep abdominal breathing, and you feel the difference in a matter of minutes. So let's do the breathing exercise together. I leave it up to you whether you want to close your eyes or not. If you're driving or in a public place, that might be a little bit odd. But if you are listening to and you are able to do that, then just play along with me. I'm going to close my eyes just because I feel like it's more beneficial that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to be breathing in through our nose and exhaling through our mouth. We're going to be breathing in to the count of 4 and breathing out to the count of 8. And notice where the air is going. The air is not going to be just going in through your lungs, but you're going to be breathing down there to your tummy, to a point where when you're filling in your abdomen, you can feel that your tummy like pulling away from your spine, from your back, right? So let's get started. Let's just do a couple of those together. Breathing in through your nose to the count of 4, going straight into your tummy. And then exhaling to the count of 8. Again, breathing in through your nose. Fill up that tummy. Let your diaphragm expand. And breathing out through your mouth. Let's do it one more time together. Breathing in through your nose. Expand your diaphragm. breathe out through your mouth. Can you feel the difference in how you feel? Can you feel the sense of calmness and grounding that happens with this kind of breathing pretty quickly? I would really advise you that whenever you find yourself in times of like receiving a nasty email, seeing something on television that's really dizzy, when something that really just gets you going in the wrong direction, find a quiet place and just start breathing the way I've showed you. And by the way, you get used to it. You're just not used to breathing that way. There is various other ways of yogic breathing. It's called the fire breath, where you just, you're breathing through one of your nostrils, and that makes people who haven't been experienced in doing that very dizzy too. You will get used to it. It doesn't have to be as long as maybe of an exhale as 8. Maybe that's what makes you dizzy. One thing interesting that I've noticed is when you have a hard time exhaling to the count of 8, oftentimes that happens when you're really stressed out at a given time. When we tend to breathe in short, we have short breaths in, short breaths out. So that's one thing I want to really offer you for today. The second thing, which is really simple, and it can be really powerful for air hungry, Stacy's saying. Yeah, that's very common. Most of us do not breathe very well. And so especially doing this kind of exercise in the outdoors when you have plenty of oxygen is just a wonderful way. Even when you're going on a walk, just sit down for a while and do this. You don't need to have to meditate if meditation is not your thing. Just start breathing, feeling that expansion of your abdomen, away from your back, and then when you exhale, you can feel the sucking in going back in again towards your spine. It's just wonderful. The other thing I want to talk about are essential oils. They are just a really wonderful, quick way of grounding you and calming you down. After all, anything that goes through the nose goes into your brain much quicker than anything else, right? So whether it's a tea, whether it's a food, whether it's a supplement, it's going to take time. Yvonne is saying this kind of breathing also helps me relax enough to fall asleep at night. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely. That's your parasympathetic nervous system stepping in. So essential oils are just wonderful, and I've got this really great book. The one I'm holding right now is a lavender oil. The way I like to apply it is typically on the coloring books helps as well, Deborah is saying. Yeah, absolutely. It's on my temples, because I find this is a place that really calms me down a lot. Like whenever I have a problem or something that really is hurtful, I start massaging my temples with the lavender oil, and I find it very calming. For those of you who have thyroid issues, it's always a great idea to put some lavender oil or any calming oil on your thyroid. That's one other place. Some people like to put it behind their ears. That's not my favorite spot. I think energetically you need to find what is your spot that really makes a difference. If you know where the adrenals are, it's also another great point to put the essential oil on the adrenals. So I have this great book. Like if you're serious about essential oils, I want to recommend this book. It's called Reference Guide of Essential Oils. It's a huge book. I mean, just look at this, right? It's just so rich with content, and it's so scientifically backed up, so it's not some woo-woo stuff or hearsay stuff, from bloggers who copy stuff from each other. And I just looked up this one, oils for thyroid nodules. I don't have it offhand, Stacy. If you watch my workshop on thyroid detox, it's on thyroiddetox.com. There are, I talk about, oh no, it's part of the bonus. Yeah, so you have to buy the program to get it. I can't remember right now what the oils are. It's part of the bonus that we're giving away for people who joined the program. It's only $97. And one of the bonuses is essential oils for thyroid nodules. There's a whole combination of them. So for stress and calming, there's a couple of oils that are really beneficial. I want to read them up to you. Lavender, liang liang is another one. Bergamot, lemon, basil, clary sage. Clary sage is also wonderful for all hormonal issues. In fact, women with PMS and hot flashes, putting that around their ovaries with some lavender oil and rose, it's just, there are scientific studies that actually show that PMS and PMS and menopause symptoms go away within 20 minutes with clary sage. It's an amazing essential oil. Cypress, frankincense, one of my favorites. Geranium, grapefruit, marjoram, neroli. Neroli is beautiful but expensive. Rosewood, Roman chamomile, huge on relieving stress. Whenever I have a lot of clients who use Roman chamomile, so it's different from German chamomile. Use that for stress relief and muscle relief, and that really works. Spruce, tangerine. Yeah, Elizabeth is asking for the name of the book. Let me just finish reading here. Yeah, and there are some specific combinations that some oil companies have. So like, for example, Peace and Calming, I think that's from Young Living. They do things like a combination of those things that if you just look at their website, you can make your own, you know, old combination, old blend of essential oils. And they do contain, I think they had liang liang, they had lavender, they have bergamot, tangerine, and lemon in that blend, which you have those oils, just make it yourself. And it's kind of interesting too, because like if you, for example, spruce, you know, it's not your thing, or pine is not your thing, then don't use it, you know. I personally don't find them calming. I find them very much Serenity from doTERRA. Yeah, so doTERRA also has some nice blends. I don't have preferences over these brands. I think all of these companies have really good essential oils, even though they say bad things about each other, which I think is very unprofessional and really, really bad. That's why I will never represent anybody like that. But nevertheless, they create good oils. So the name of the book is, one more time, yeah, Reference Guide for Essential Oils. That's exactly, somebody posted there just now. So that's the book. Really great book, and any condition here you want, including making your own skincare products with essential oils, is right there. Truly recommended. So, you know, so that's another really great way of getting yourself calmed down. I mean, today I do not turn on the television without putting some essential oils on. And the other way you can do it is you can have a diffuser, you know, a good quality diffuser, and use those essential oils in your diffuser so that, you know, you can basically inhale that, right? Or put it on your skin. I like to do both. And I don't turn on to television for the past 3 days without putting some essential oils into my diffuser, just because it's been pretty a rough ride. The other thing to do is you can look into specific oils, and Deborah is saying diffuser necklace is great as well. Yeah, actually, I'm wondering if you could post a link for us, Deborah, on where to get those necklaces. That would be really great. I have a friend who makes them too, so I will post. Let me just take a note on EO necklaces. She makes necklaces as well. In fact, she made me one too for the thyroid, and you can just put the essential oil infused cotton ball, and you can not only smell it all the time, but it's a beautiful piece of jewelry that smells all the time, and it's near your thyroid as well. So just really wonderful idea. So that was about essential oils. And the other thing I want to share with you is one of my absolute favorite teas called Tulsi. You can see the name right here, Tulsi tea. You can find it from Organic India all around the United States. Almost every health store I've been to always carries them. Whenever I travel, I get tea bags. But whenever I'm at home, I tend to use loose leaves. I actually ran out of loose leaves, so that's why I've been drinking this form of tea today. They have variety. They have a whole combination of different ones. My favorite is with gotu kola, which is another adaptogen. By the way, Tulsi tea, also known as holy basil, is a natural adaptogen. Adaptogen in the sense that when you are when you are too stressed out and nervous, and it brings you down to help you to cool you down. And if you're feeling really tired and and just out of sorts because of adrenals, then it helps you to very gently brings up the adrenals. So both gotu kola as well as Tulsi have these properties, and and like I said, I make them whenever I make like a whole big pot of this every day and have that just by the table, and by lunchtime I typically finish the whole thing. So, I like making my own blends of teas. That's one of the things. Actually, there's a program I'm working on. It's going to be called Herbs for Balance. It's about how to bring herbs culinarily into your life and start making things like different teas and lattes using herbs and spices that really benefit you on a daily basis. So this becomes not only a drink of tea, but this becomes really your medicine on a daily basis. We're also going to be teaching things how to make your own skincare products using herbs and essential oils. So I'm developing a whole program with an herbalist from Ireland, and we are looking at launching it next year, somewhere around summer, to give you, to just empower you with more stuff. So it's not going to be food related anymore. It's going to be, sorry, I take it back. It's going to be culinary herbalism as well as topical herbalism. Topical as in, what you put on our skin and our hair and stuff like that. So we're going to be teaching you how to make shampoos, stuff like that. So that's what I have. Oh yeah, well, one more thing I want to just talk about for managing stress, and I feel like it's something that can really help a lot of people. Something that you could recommend helps with migraines. Naveen is asking. So first of all, essential oils, the one thing I want to just say about essential oils is that, they are a wonderful way of kind of fixing a thing at the time of the moment, but they also can kind of mask the root cause of a problem. So a migraine is a really good example, is that we can do some essential oils or pressure points on our body for pain, for migraines, for headaches. But the question is, why do you have it in the first place? And what I see, the most frequent reason for headaches is actually food sensitivities is a huge one. So somebody's saying peppermint and chamomile are great for migraines. They truly are. And like especially putting it on your temples here. When I stopped drinking coffee, I had the most awful migraines. I thought I was having a mini stroke in my head, seriously. And the only thing that kind of tied me over the first 4 or 5 days was to do like what Deborah said, peppermint. I wasn't using chamomile, I was using peppermint and lavender on the temples of my head and just the whole forehead because it was such intense migraines. But once I got over that, it was okay. I was a different person. My point is that it's great to have these tools in your portfolio so you can pull out those oils and use them when you need to. But don't ignore the fact that when you're having migraines, it's something else going on. So I was beginning to say food sensitivity is a big one, and I see that especially with gluten, sugar, dairy, for some people even eggs as well, getting migraines from those. So look into your food sensitivities, make sure you're not eating something that's actually causing that. I used to have constant migraines as a young adult in my 20s, combined of course with severe acne. I had acne here on my front, on my back, on my butt. It was horrendous. And the thing that I've discovered was that, by the way, I never left the house without a Tylenol in my bag, because when the migraine struck, like I couldn't even move my eyes. That's how painful it was. So for those of you who have migraines, you know what I'm talking about. What resolved it was addressing all the food sensitivities. In my case, I think it was the gluten that was causing that. So that's one area. The other thing is that oftentimes you got to look at when those migraines are happening. If it's consistently around part of your cycle, like before your period, around your ovulation, then it could be hormonal. Then the issue becomes rebalance your hormones to get rid of your migraines. And then you will see a lot of other health issues resolving as well, not just the migraines. One more thing I want to talk about before I go back to the questions. Would you explain estrogen dominance? Anita is asking. Great question. So, I talked about estrogen dominance in the previous calls. So Anita, if you could just log in, come back here next week, and we will have the link for you posted with all the talks that I've done in the past 2 months. I think I've done already probably about 8 of those calls. And I talked about estrogen dominance. I don't want to repeat that because it's quite a complex issue. And for those of you who already listened to it, I don't want to be repetitive. Since I already talked about it. So it's a great question. And by the way, if you don't want to be coming back to listen to things, then you prefer to read, then go to my website, hormones with an S, hormonesbalance.com, and look at the search for estrogen dominance. There's going to be a ton of recipes as well as articles that come out that talk about symptoms as well as how to resolve it. So one more thing that I want to talk about before I go to the questions from last week is the method of what's called EFT, emotional freedom technique. Who here has heard of EFT? Just post a question. Just let me know there. Just gonna have a sip of my tea. Oh, I love that Tulsi tea. I have to tell you, I can't live without it. It's like the day doesn't start until I have my Tulsi tea. This has become my new coffee. Anita is saying EFT is awesome. It works. So I'm wondering, Anita, what has EFT helped you with? Just share with us. So for those of you, Susan is saying it's amazing. Okay, awesome. So share with us just in really briefly, what has it helped you with? I find that EFT can be super helpful for some people and doesn't do much for other people. I'm somewhere in between, depends on what I'm working with. What it basically is, emotional freedom to EFT is also known as tapping. There's been a big movie that kind of made it huge about 3 years ago about tapping. A lot of celebrities doing tapping. It's to disrupt your certain emotion patterns that we all go through. And I'm not going to be teaching the whole EFT course here because there's a lot to be, I mean, there are, like, I've done a weekend workshop like several years ago just to experience it. So if you find it interesting, do your research on EFT. But basically, it is a tapping technique that you start off, I think, tapping from the point of here. And those are basically different energetic points, very similar to, you know, using, for example, Chinese medicine, so acupuncture, and some people say they've heard of EFT. Awesome. So for those of you who know EFT, you've tried it. Tell us how has it helped you with what. So you basically stop tapping on this. It typically starts at the bottom of your chopping board, right? The chopping part of your hand, and then you move on to Judy saying for calming. Then you move on here to in between your eyes, and you tap on top of your eyebrow. You go to the side of your. It helps you with strong emotions and get immediate relief and find root cause. Awesome, that's wonderful. Tapping on the side here, then you start tapping at the bottom of your. Has helped me. Oh wow, look at that. Deborah is saying EFT has helped her with hot flashes. Awesome. So I'm just gonna stop reading things for a second just to finish this off. So you start off with your chopping board, you know, parties of your hand. Then you move on to the middle here, and then basically, let me just show you the points first, and then I'll tell you what you do while you're tapping. Then you're tapping under your eyes, then you move on right above your lips, then you go at the bottom of your chin, then you start tapping around in your thyroid, just actually the thyroid spot, right? And then you start tapping under your armpit, and then the last point is you tap the crown. So while tapping, basically it's a really simple idea that says that, for example, let's just assume that I'm feeling really anxious right now, right? I'm really upset at what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, and I start tapping. And what you're saying, preferably out loud to yourself. You can do that in a public place too. Probably don't want to talk to yourself, but some people do, so that's okay too. If you're in New York on a subway, I think it's pretty normal. Everybody does weird things. So you start tapping here, and then you basically say to yourself, even though I'm feeling really anxious and my heart is racing and I'm feeling very unsettled and it really concerns me, everything that I'm seeing, I completely and absolutely and totally accept myself. I forgot about the heart point, sorry. So you tap on the heart, then you go underneath your arm, and then you go up here. So basically that's the mantra. Even though whatever is happening, I completely and totally accept myself. And you know, you saw what people have been mentioning about how effective it has been for them, even finding the root cause. You know, I've had a client who had nasty Candida, yeast overgrowth. I mean, hers was just like, whoa. We worked with diet. She cut out alcohol or sugars. She was on a paleo diet, you know, and still the Candida, like she would have a piece of carrot, like half a carrot, and then she would have this flare up of Candida, right? So I was like kind of helpless, because as a nutritionist, I'm like, I don't know what else to, you know, help you work with. And of course she was on probiotics and blah, blah, blah. Nothing seemed to be really taking it away 100%. And she started doing EFT with somebody, with a practitioner who was also her friend. And she said that just by doing EFT, she's realized that she had a number of relationships with men in the past where she was really ashamed of them because she thought she felt like a slut. And just that shame around that emotion and just releasing that has completely cleared her Candida. I mean, it was unbelievable, but I think it was a sense of chronic stress, that shame. You know, shame is an incredibly powerful emotion that can be causing us to be releasing cortisol on a regular basis. And cortisol is a very strong, you know, stimulating hormone that can also bring in a lot of acidity to the body. And when you're having acidic blood, right, or acidic, when people say somebody's acidic, that what they mean is the acidic blood. It's a perfect environment for Candida to thrive. So I think you know, I'm giving you the more, let's say, biological, biochemical explanation of why I think Candida has cleared. If you're more in tune with, you know, emotional clearing of stuff, then probably this kind of method will appeal to you. But anyway, so that's about tapping, and for grounding yourself, for finding calmness for those emotions, negative emotions, and finding out what is the reason behind that. Okay, I used to during thyroid detox to work on a fear of hunger and feelings of detox. The detox brought up. So, and I'm wondering, thank you for sharing, and I'm wondering, has it helped you? Has EFT helped you when you did thyroid detox? So, yeah, you guys. So let me go over to maybe a couple of more questions. See what other questions do you have right now. And Tracy is asking, I was asking last week, lifelong supplementation of Senna based supplements, which gave me daily regularity, bowel movements, she means. Is this better than doing nothing? You know, so I'm going to talk about constipation next week. So, Tracy, if you can come back next week, I'm going to talk about that. In my world, it's not okay to be having to depend on a laxative, because Senna is a natural form of laxative. It's actually a pretty strong one to help bowel movement. I don't think that's okay, because constipation tells us a lot what's going on in your digestion. That's what I'm going to talk about next week. That you're basically suppressing. I like that you're doing something to help bowel movement, because not having bowels moving just reintroduces so much of toxicity back into your body, and including can cause a lot of hormonal imbalances, because these hormones, instead of getting, do you guys know that we are excreting hormones through our poop? We poop them out when they are used up and we are done with them. And that's how the space for new ones, the body has this loop mechanism that tells them, you know, we've pooped out the hormones. Susan is saying, let me just read this out. Yes, tapping made a huge difference for detox. So many feelings came out for me around hunger. It also helped me to work, and it disappeared. Oh, Lord. Yeah, so, you know, Facebook, the way Facebook works, and for me as a host, I see your question like just appearing there, and I can't see it for very long. So anyway, too bad. Somebody's asking, Kathy was asking about heart palpitations because of too much synthroid. Doctors don't listen. So I think I've answered that already, right? Before I talked about thyroid. Hey, you guys, for those of you who have thyroid issues, just head over to thyroiddietcoach.com, thyroiddietcoach.com. That's a great starter kit I have for you, just to tell you how to get started, where to find good, responsible doctors who will listen to you, and get started that way. Because I can tell you, there is no need to feel like a victim. There is absolutely so many things you can do in regards to your thyroid. In fact, for any hormonal imbalance, you know, it's not a sentence. You do not have a terminal disease. And even if you have lost your thyroid, there's so much that you can do through nutrition, through sleep, through detoxification. You know, start off with the Thyroid Diet Coach website. Thyroid Diet Starter Kit is the free gift that I have on the site. It's a solid document, tells you how to get started. You don't have to feel like a victim. A lot of things you can do. Okay, so I'm gonna wrap it up today. I'm wishing you a lot of calmness in the coming days, no matter how hard things might have been for you. or no matter what you're seeing on Facebook, because I think that adds fuel to the fire. And yeah, and try some of those things. Try the essential oils, try the tapping, try the deep breathing. Deep breathing is my absolute favorite because it's just so simple. And let me know next week how it goes for you. And next week we're definitely going to talk about constipation, because I know it's a huge problem and it is a serious sign that something is going on, and we're going to uncover what those things are. Well, I wish you a really wonderful weekend. Practice some of those things you have learned today, and I will definitely see you next week. Okay, bye for now.